Okay, so it turns out that this little pump decided to fail me. It happened some time ago, but I didn't realize it until now what had happened. But I pulled over on the side of the road for a lady and her mother, and they had a flat tire, and they were changing their spare. But as always, everyone's spare tire, because no one thinks about it, the spare tire was flat. So we used this to try to pump up her original tire, and then we found the leak, but then we decided to do the spare tire. So we wound up pumping up two big tires back to back. It got quite hot, and then it shut off. And I just thought it ran out of batteries, but there was enough pressure in the tire. It was like half a pound away from being where it needed to be. And I assumed it just got to its pressure, or it got to its temperature, you know what I mean, and shut off. But now, today, when I went to go run it, which I probably won't be able to show you without hooking it up, it's got an awful, awful out of balance and bearing noise. Sorry, that was a really bad volume transition, but I'm sure that you heard that. It sounds awful. So it doesn't smell very good either. So I'm going to pull this apart. We'll give a look at it. We'll get to see what's inside of it, see what makes it tick, and see if it's something that's repairable. But just something to note that while this thing is pretty cool and the form factor is great and it's got the nice little light, you can overheat it and damage it before it shuts itself off. So I'll pull this thing apart and I'll get back. Okay, so this thing comes apart in record time. You just take the nice nitrile rubber condom off, just slide it off one of the ends. The ends here literally just snap on. This is the light. It just clips right on to the end of this. Those sides clip right on, and then the sides, as you can see here, are just these little plastic doodad tabs, and boom, that's it. You're inside. It's pretty straightforward in here. These are your switches. Of course, your LED light on the end. You have the screen and the control board behind there. We have this black tube that runs down. That's what senses the pressure. What sends the pressure back to this pressure sensor here. The battery here. This is a 11-volt battery. So they're definitely, it looks like they're the size of to double 18650s, but they can't be, because that would be 6 volts. That wouldn't get you the 11 volts. They must have something else going in there, but they do look to be lithium batteries. This right here seems to be just the battery. No, get that back. Yep, this is a dual purpose battery charging, and also this MOSFET is also providing the switching for turning the motor on and off. And I say that because the switch on off here is small wires, bigger than what's going to the actual motor. So that's actually being switched on and off here by the MOSFET, not being physically switched here at the motor. Yeah, so anyways, here is the business end. This motor spins. Okay, that turns this shaft around. That shaft then moves this piston in and out, and there's obviously some kind of one-way valve, and that's what creates our pressure. I can see a ton of sorry, my lighting is not good. I can see a ton of metal flake in here. There is quite a bit of play between this pinion, and this would be the ring gear. You can see the play there because it's just about wore itself out. Now, I don't see any specific teeth. Oh, there you go. That's what I'm hearing. See it skipping? That's by me pressing some weight down that. So I'm going to pull this apart here and see what's going on. I'm glad I caught it early, because before that wore out. Hopefully I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bearing below this pinion gear. Hopefully the housing overheated or the bearing went bad. So this could be saved, but I'll pull this apart and then I'll let you know what I find. Alright, so was able to look at this a little closer. Like I had said before, what's going on is this ring gear is slipping past this pinion gear. I tried the motor is up. So first of all, it's a plastic chassis, so there's not much rigidity there. I know it's mounted in the case, but this thing is flexible too, so there's not much rigidity between this motor and its engagement here. The entire motor is held in by only these 2 screws here. I was able to pull those off and I put them back on. I tried to adjust this down a little bit and tighten them up, but I'm still getting slipping past that ring and pinion gear. I'm not sure what came first, the chicken or the egg, as far as what caused these to wear down. If it was the heat caused this to deform, the plastic to deform, and that to start to slip, or that started to slip, which made the heat and made it worse. These gears are pretty chewed up and worn down from probably what they were looking like when they were fresh. And as we said before, there's a lot of gap there. So there might not be much I could do for this. I might be able to cam these holes out maybe and drop this motor down. I don't know, it's located here too. So there might not be too much that I can do to get this, to actually repair this. And definitely not in a position where I would want to trust it on the side of the road with a flat. So I'm going to run this again with it open so you can see it slipping. But just obviously be forewarned, this is not, as you know, not quiet. So we'll get this turned on. Grab the switch here. All right, this is going to be a little hard to do. I'm going to turn it on and then I'm going to put my finger over that to give it some back. Because without it free spinning, without any pressure against it, it's fine. But the pressure is what really puts the load on, and I think that's what did it. Because spare tires, I don't know about motorcycle tires. Let me know what the pressure is for motorcycle tires, but I know for most spare tires they're like 60, 65 psi, and it was definitely the higher pressure on the spare tires what really put this to bed. So all right, here we go, let's fire this up. Alright, so I filmed that entire thing not realizing that I wasn't recording. So the last you saw, the motor was running there and I accidentally hit the button and you saw that it stalled. I think it's because we met the pressure that it was at. It was hard to tell. The camera is not fast enough to pick up on it, but every time you could hear that loud squealing, and maybe you could pick up on the video, that was this stalling. And I think it's probably due to overheating this thing. I did charge up 2 large SUV tires back to back, so it ran for about 15 minutes straight. This thing was red hot. I mean, the charging hose, as you're familiar with here, it was barely untouchable. It was so hot. The whole body was hot, but you know, they're pumps. They run hot. I just figured that was accounted for, and it wouldn't really hurt it that much, but as I've learned, it will. I figured out what's going on here. So what's happening is that as this motor spins, right, and it rotates the pinion in this ring gear, as this piston goes, obviously, as you can see, that piston's moving up and down as this rotates in and out, right? So as this piston gets about here, right, and this is the beginning of the upstroke, when it starts to compress the air to come out here, it's being pressed upon and back in this direction. So because of that, at this angle here, because of that angle of it pressing it back this way, it's actually tilting that pinion gear, ring gear, sorry, this way, because there's force against it from the higher air pressure. And that's what's causing this side to go down and this side to come up, and that's allowing it to disengage from this motor. And that's probably, like I said, exacerbated from it overheating. I don't think the bearing is bad. The bearing below seems to be the regular standard, I forget what it's called, but the skateboard, roller skate standard bearing that's real cheap to get. It seems what they're using, but it seems like it's in good condition. My issue is definitely here, the slippage here, and I think obviously once it started to slip, it started chewing away at these gears and it made things worse there. So I guess the moral of the story is not to run it for an extended period of time, especially on bigger SUV tires. And also, too, you know, the spare inflates to 60 psi, so that's a lot more pressure than you would normally inflate. You'll have to let me know about motorcycle tires. I know that, like, you know, standard car tires are like 28 to 35 psi, but spare tires are like 60, 65. Well, what do you usually inflate motorcycle tires to? Because that extra pressure here, that pressure, you know, at the outlet is affecting how much force is here. So obviously the heat, I think, is what caused the issue, but the pressure, it was the heat and the pressure because of that force is what really caused us to fail. So anyways, just to let you know, that's what happened with this. I really hate to say, you know, don't trust it, because I really did kind of abuse it above and beyond what it would be designed for. But I know that I am not going to be able to trust it on the road. If I needed it for a spare flat tire or for somebody else, I know that I can't trust it as is. So I won't purchase another one. I'll be looking for another option. I have my other bigger pump, but the form factors, this thing was just amazing. So anyways, just a heads up on that. Don't let this overheat. And then I also noticed here, it's 3 batteries, not 2. So these are, it seems that these are 3 18650s. They're like, what, 3.7 volts a piece? That's what gets you your 11 something of its 12 volts there. So this is going to go really good for my solar LED project that I was showing you last time, as well as maybe I can repurpose the light on this end, because that's a nice compact size, and I can use that center there to maybe bolt it onto something or give it some adjustments. So yeah, I'll find some good use for this stuff here and repurpose this and have some fun with it. But I think it's done for my use, and I just wanted to let you know what happened here. I'm going to look at this here and see if I can build a metal shim for this and bring that down, but it would still only be for light and local use. I just don't think I can trust it as is, you know, for emergency situations. So okay, all right, that's all I got now that I'm finally recording, and I'll talk to you later.